about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was great sounds of Watson Without Sound on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. Easy BlueZ. Easy BlueZ, you are always better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us on the program today who I feel is overdue? Go ahead, Easy.
Understandable. And I want people to truly understand this. You know, when we were younger, we were able to watch such incredible shows like Sesame Street, such incredible shows like Mr. Rogers, where they told you about the neighbors in the neighborhood and the community you were living in and the way things are moving and shaking. And you knew that if Mr. Hooper was having a bad day at the shop, you didn't go down there to mess with him. You came down there to give him a high five. And that was most important because your community was what was important. The community is the people around you. And how important it is to surround yourself with good, intentioned people that are there to help support you and lift you up. There are some people that are out there that are there only for a day. There are some people that are out there that are only for a moment. But then there are some people that are in your lives for the long term, for the ride or die type of aspects. And when you can find someone who is in your life for that ride or die type of aspect, you should truly be glorious and thankful. I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2 because we don't need any accidents. But mentally, I want you to put your hands together for the fantastic, the amazing, one of the smartest people Preston and I ever know is in the building today. Miss Aimee Webb is in the building.
Thank you for such a lovely introduction, honey.
Thank you.
If you don't know, audience, now you know.
Now you know. And if you don't know, now you know.
Aimee, appreciate you so much. Just before we get into this, because this is a pre-recording, we want to have Aimee on because she's really into politics and she knows what she's talking about. Easy and I are not political experts. We just want to speak our opinion and get our free speech out there while we can. We just feel within just this past first week, this first couple days of the former and new president of the United States made some executive orders that affect the lives of, in my opinion, all three of us. And it is really an important time right now. And we would just want to just talk, and we feel that we're going to talk on the right side of history. We want to just talk about what we feel that we can be optimistic about, what we feel we can look to the future, and how do we feel just with everything, and just expressing our opinion about it because we just feel it's needed. And we just use these microphones just for therapy, and it really just helps myself, Easy, and hopefully Aimee with her mental health and just talking about these things, man, because we just feel it's appreciated. Aimee, where do we remain to be in a good space mentally? I know they say take breaks in social media. I know they say don't really look in the news as much. Don't really get into any physical confrontations with people who think a different mindset or think any different ideas as you, because I just want to just speak myself clearly when we just talk about these things. And where do we go from here? Well, how do we remain with our chin up? Because I don't want to just keep on bragging.
Well, I think we do that in a lot of ways. Okay. And ways that are kind of good for you mental health wise, but also in terms of feeling like you're doing something, right. I think it is important to stay aware of what's going on. To that end, yes, I do try. I completely avoid all mass media, all visual mass media. I don't watch the shock and the awe, the three ring circus. All of the news that I consume, I do so in print. And I go places like Reuters, The Guardian, Canadian Broadcasting Channel, places like that are just going to tell me the news. There's not going to be anything more than what I need to know, the information. It's important to understand where the news is coming from and who's managing it. Because right now, our greatest papers are doing a very shabby job of representing what's actually happening in our country. And that's because they're owned by people like Rupert Murdoch and Jeff Bezos, who are literally limiting news that we're seeing.
Right.
So when we create news institutions like that, which no longer serve us, we have to find better places. So we have to be suspect of, mainstream news in a different way than we're used to, I think, as the consuming public. So I think it's important to see. It's also important when you're reading things to understand where biases might be.
Yes.
Something that sounds a little bit wacky, I will find 3 good sources to vet that information, because reality is wackier than any conspiracy theory. We don't have to go down the rabbit hole. I understand how it's easy to do, because when you've got all of these powerful robber barons, these modern day robber barons, basically owning everything, it's very easy to feel very conspiratorial.
Right.
Go to the Amazon shopping cart, and it's the Amazon pharmacy and the Amazon doctor and the Amazon news, it's everything. So I understand how people do feel fatigued by all of this, and it is very fatiguing, and it's super important to take care of your mental health. Taking care of your mental health also means feeding yourself as well as you can. Also means getting outside for like 20 minutes a day and getting the sun on your face. There are important elements there that may seem silly or whatever, but those things count, and they're really important. The other things that are really important are being able to do some things that make you feel like you're doing something. Not everybody has the capacity to be on the lines of something, or to go to a protest, or to do these things, but they want to do something. They want to be actively participating in resisting where the government is going, because it is so repugnant. And to that end, it's literally the little thing. It's having conversations where they're appropriate. How you communicate with certain people, and others you don't need to. It's about understanding that you're not going to change the minds of a lot of these folks, and going into some huge debate with them is really only for crazy making for you, because they're not self-aware enough to go down there and really see the comparisons. Quite often I get a lot of apple and orange comparisons when, people kind of come back at me and say, well, if this, then that. Well, no, no. It's easy for folks, I think, to, especially when we live in very uncertain times.
Right.
The last several years, we've had increasing prices. We've had a lot of inflation. We've had unrest. We've had all these things, right? Well, the reason that all of these things exist is because past politicians weren't courageous enough to make the tough choices and do the hard things.
Right.
And we have not offered the same level of access to all of our citizenry. Now, had we done that from the very beginning, we wouldn't even have to think about things like DEI and reparations. But the fact that we refused, not only did we not do it, but we refused to do anything. And not only for people of color, not only for Indigenous Americans, for all Americans. They refused to give every one of us equal access to all of the resources.
Right.
And they set us in a case system. It's not official, but that's what it is.
Right.
Working people, there's working poor, there's working class, there's middle class, and it's not just the color of our skin. It's our socioeconomic backgrounds. It's where we come from.
Right.
The deck is stacked against all of us. It's stacked more against some than others, because some of them check off a lot of boxes in that rubric. Because if you happen to be a person of color who happens to be queer, or maybe gender nonconforming, or female, or any of the other protected classes, you're getting triple whammy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're living in this kind of atmosphere, taking care of yourself is important. Understand that arguing with people is helpful is even, it's not. Gray rock. That's cool. I hope everything you voted for. That's what.
Easy, your thoughts.
No, I think it's extremely shocking. We agree about things, but no, I think it's very true, because in those type of aspects you have to understand those gray rocks, and because I'm a little bit of a spitster, you have to understand when sometimes paper needs to beat rock. There are those points in time, and I've gotten into it in the point where people want to get to an argument. I'm like, look, I'm going to be here at this point in time. Just see me face to face and have this conversation. I'm done. Because it's necessary, because we're at that point, I think, in life, and it's terrifying to have to sit at that point in life where we're like, well, today I have to hope I have bail money, because I'm not sure that this person isn't going to speak this way sideways out of his mouth, or say that my child doesn't exist. And I'm gonna have to lose my mind. And I'm probably one of the most detached people.
You can do something, because that's important. Like what you brought up is really important, especially for people who do have loved ones who are very directly affected by a lot of these policies. And again, we have to get away from this idea that we have to only develop empathy when we, know someone who is being discriminated against. That's stupid.
Right.
Like Martin Luther King said, we ain't free. Not one person is free until we are all free.
That's true. That's true.
Oppression anywhere is oppression for everyone, because it will come out in every weird possible way, and it will and does affect you as a nation. Look at our nation. Look how sick our nation is.
Mm-hmm.
This nation was built on dehumanizing other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look at the sickness that it gives the people in places of privilege.
Yeah.
The inability to see past their own selves needs, even when they have more than they could ever use.
Mm-hmm.
They still have this desire, this need to acquire, and by default, very specifically say, I deserve more than you do.
Right.
And then they'll list off the whole reasons: the color of your skin, the religion that you practice, the sex you were born into, the gender you identify as, all of these things. Things that, again, are, it's trying to legislate personal morality, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. It makes zero sense. And really taking all the attention off of the much more important things, which I think is probably the point here.
Right.
Because when you come up with a lot of really hot button issues, 4 or 5 big hot button issues, and you make those your platform for a bunch of folks who are all single issue voters, some of them are single issue pro-life voters, some of them are single issue immigrant voters, some of them are, so on down the line. But presenting that platform, they're acquiescing to the whatever need folks they have to get rid of these things or to protect themselves somehow. I'm not sure. I keep hearing from people that they're so happy they're going to get their rights back, but I don't recall any of our rights having been revoked until Trump came into office.
Word.
As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe Biden did not close the civil liberties office at the White House.
Nope.
So, I think it's in that way when we're looking at all this stuff, and we're looking at the people who are directly affected and the people that we love, and our own health being part of the machine, whether we directly are affected or not. It's affecting mental health, whether you like it or not. Even if you are a Trump supporter, this is negatively affecting your mental health and who you
Right.
but you will. But we have to remember that going to jail for punching some idiot for talking out the side of his face is not what our kids need.
Exactly.
What our kids need is to see us going, okay, I got you. I see you. I'm going to call you out every time. I'm going to know my name every opportunity I have. If I can write letters or make some phone calls or do what I can do, I'm going to do that. You know, the simple act of, you know, the kids are going out to, you know, protest. Go bring them bottles of water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, honestly, like that's if you just feel like you want to do something or you just feel like you have to, just in the smallest ways, you can make a difference. Every interaction that you have with another human being can be like absolutely. That does not mean that you have to get into a deep political discussion about peace and whether Joe Rogan is, you know, an actual source of news. P.S. No, he's not. But you don't have to do that with people, is my point. You don't have.
No, I got you.
And you have to keep yourself from getting there with people because that's not helpful to anybody. It's not even helpful to you because at the end of it, you're not going to have accomplished anything yourself upset. And that's a hard lesson.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
It's not difficult, especially when somebody's, you know, talking some crazy things about your child.
Yeah.
The rest of the sentence, you're all, you know, we have to the right thing. The right thing is standing up, but it's not going, you know, half.
I gotta say some stuff easy. Do you want to say
Yes, sir.
something before I go on?
No. I want you to go in. I'm good. I'm good. You all are saying what I needed to say anyway, so it worked out.
I thank God that Aimee has a powerful voice because we're fighting the demons of Zoom and the internet technology, but the voice is so powerful. The enunciation is just perfect to understand a majority of what she's saying. So we're just fighting all these internet demons, and I think we're doing a very successful job. But Aimee, just with all the great information you've been providing us just for this broadcast, how important are our local politics? What can we say to our local politicians, just even within the future decisions of this? Because one thing that got to me, which is going to affect me and people who look like me, is the DEI decision that's been proposed. It's not finalized, but as has been proposed as an executive order. That's going to affect me and numerous other people who have different skin color like me. Just your thoughts in that. How can we talk to our local politicians and how can we just defend ourselves and make sure our voice is heard? Your opinion on that?
I think that we here in the great state of Connecticut are extremely lucky.
Absolutely, I agree.
Because I think that most of our local and state politicians are pretty kick-ass. I think Chris Murphy has really spoken for Connecticut and very heartily. He has been jumping up and down about all of this for years. He's been jumping up and down. Hey guys, hey guys. I think Rosa DeLauro is fantastic. She's very responsive, very receptive. If there is a problem in her constituency, she is on it. You know, I've seen a lot of responsiveness from our local politicians as well. And I think that they are responsive. I think that they want to hear from their constituencies. And I think they're here for us. I really do. You know, and here's the other thing. There's this fallacious notion that you have to agree with every decision or every opinion of the person sitting in office. And that's just ridiculous because there's just no way that's ever going to happen, you know? But what you can do is look at that person, regardless of what you have in common with them, and say, is this person really working for the benefit of everyone?
Right.
Even if I don't like, even if I don't like the policy or I have an issue with it, does this person really, are they really trying to work for the benefit of everyone?
And that person is you, Aimee, working for the benefit of everyone on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in the crime, a Long Island raised, Elm City made, is Mr. EZ BlueZ. And also want to give a shout out to New Haven Independent. They've been non-biased, and they've been getting us some good material for everybody. And they're our family, too. So shout out to Paul Bass and company also, who was giving out the good work. Yes. Go ahead, Aimee. I didn't mean to lose your train of thought. I just had to do what I had to do.
Paul's another great example of a person who is doing everything that he can do. He makes it available, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's part of it. And that, I think this is what we all do. We all find our place and, part of it. When people ask me who radicalized me, I tell Mr. Rogers. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
I grew up believing that every human being was equal. I grew up believing that. I still believe that. I believe that very heartily. There's no human being who is better or worse than I am in this world. Some of us make better or worse decisions than others, but none of us are better or worse. I have no idea what I was saying before, unfortunately.
How Mr. Rogers had radicalized you.
Before that.
Before that, I have no idea. That was 30 minutes ago.
I kind of blame myself because I had to do the radio tag, so I kind of think I just stopped the whole train of thought. I think I'm the reason for the brain fart.
The idea of that is, he taught us to look for the helpers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be a helper. You know what a helper does. We all know what a helper does. So we have to figure out how we are helping, and we just be helpers in that way. The independent, this is how the independent's being a helper. It's letting us get some information out to folks who are probably really scared and feeling really anxious right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people feel very uncertain. Now, obviously, we've got the ACLU challenging these executive orders left, right, center.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Civil Rights Office has been shut down. So, we're going to have to see what's going to happen, with that. But circling back to our local politicians, this is where all of the local politicians have the chance to shine. Because the more we tell them what we're feeling, email the office, call the office. This is literally, they have staff to answer your questions, queries, and take notes. This is their job. You call them, you let them know what your concerns are, and then it's their job to take those concerns. And when we let them know unequivocally, and in a very large avalanche kind of, number of emails and phone calls,
right?
Because when they do the things that we like them to do, they're out of a job. So it's really important that we understand that politicians work for us and that we're the ones that hold the power. And when we put good local politicians in place, those are the people who speak loudest for their constituency.
Yes.
Those are the people we can count on to be our helpers. But we have to be helpers too. We have to talk to them, we have to be in communication, and we have to call it out anywhere we see it. And if that is something like you see somebody in a grocery store just, get nasty at somebody for what, you just step in there and say, that's not acceptable.
Right.
What can I do to diffuse the situation? Do you feel safe?
Right.
Because it's not until we start doing things like that regularly that racists and bigots are going to start to be afraid again.
Right.
Very recently, I was in a deli in not this state. I won't name states, but it was not this state. And a man was not happy with the price of his purchase. Fine. And he came back to yell at the Latina woman who was making the sandwiches. Now, who do you suppose makes the prices of the sandwiches? It certainly isn't the one making them, is it?
No.
So, but this man on himself to go and yell at just that Latina woman. Nobody else. So I said, excuse me, sir, that sounds like a management issue and not at all a workers issue. So I suggest you go find someone to talk to and be apologize for being rude. Now he did because I called him out. He got it because he realized somebody was watching his bad behavior and being like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Right.
So that may be a small, simple thing, but something like that is, number one, very meaningful. It sends a very big signal. But it also, we don't accept it. We don't accept it. And but we're going to tell you that we don't accept it, and we're going to embarrass you. We are going to embarrass you.
Yeah. That's one of the key things when you're looking at the type of aspect. And look, you know, for the listeners that are getting perturbed or are the ones you fear are good. You fear you're going to be embarrassed. That's really the reality of it. And if you already have that fear, hold on to that fear, because it's going to be a reality.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, people are going to say things, do things, and it's going to go beyond that point. There's been many points in time, and it's been like this forever and ever and ever and a day for me. I remember being a child riding on my bicycle way before I probably should have been out about by myself, and, you know, watching, you know, boyfriend scream at girlfriend and raise hand, and me and my little bike rolling up in between and being like, hey, this is not cool. You know, and him just look at me like, oh, child, why are you here? And be like, because this is not cool. You know, so I remember, you know, having those type of opportunities to speak has always been important. It's always been important to have those conversations. It's always been important to be uncomfortable. I mean, I try to live in my uncomfortability as much as humanly possible, because that's where we grow.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality, is that's where we grow. That's where we're 100% moving forward and doing all those, you know, incredible things. Now, as you do navigate through this type of aspect, and, you know, yes, it's super important that we engage with our local politicians, but here's the thing: we need to engage, period.
Yes.
You know, look, this wasn't a landslide victory.
No.
This wasn't anything. This was still a third of the people who were registered to vote didn't vote.
Lowest.
Let's be real.
How many election cycles? I think 4.
I think since W. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the margin by which Trump was declared the victor was way smaller than when he was defeated by Biden in the last election.
Yeah.
So I think that tells you something, you know. And I, to be honest, I think, you know, I know there's lots of theories about, you know, voting machines and things like that. I am going to step away from the voting machine conspiracies simply because I am not qualified, far above my my pay scale.
I respect that. I really do. I really do.
What I will say,
is,
you know, data is easily manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that, and I will say that with 100% certainty, I do believe that without Elon Musk's support, he would not have been elected.
Mm-hmm.
And the threatening part about that is that the people who are supporting Musk are, by and large, very radicalized young men. And have been radicalized the last couple of years by people like Joe Rogan. Thank you, Joe. You're such a peach. Not a journalist, an entertainer, not news.
Can I hold on 1 second? Because something I've always wanted to say about this. You know, Joe Rogan, when he first got involved in entertainment, he always played the dumb character.
Yes.
He never played anyone of intelligence. Throughout most of his jokes and material in the early part of his career, it was really how stupid he was. The man made an entire career being the dumbest man in the room and saying he's the dumbest man in the room. But now people are going to him like he is some sort of messiah, when he just has already told you. What happened to that quote from the amazing author? You know, when they tell you who they are, believe them. He's told you he's a moron. He's told you he's a moron. Believe that he's a moron.
Yes. Yes. And also understand, it's it's in the law books. Fox News Corporation a very long time ago went to court and declared themselves an entertainment company so that they could be held to journalistic standards, which now of course don't exist because Trump got rid of them in his last cycle administration. As far as what's going to happen in the future,
you're picking my brain right now. I was just about to ask you that.
I think it's going to be really hard to tell anything for a little while.
Okay.
I think more things are going to have to slide into place. But I feel very confident that we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Today, it's not going to be tomorrow, but eventually, I think it's going to be okay. Maybe not in ways that we anticipate it. And we're, like I said, I think everybody's got to kind of be aware. Don't buy the hype. I think that it's, looking at all the social media and seeing the gas masks and the ham radios and the rest of this nonsense. Not that people prepared, prepared for storms, natural disasters and things like that. But I do think there's a lot of fear mongering going in behind that stuff. And I do think that there are a lot of places that take advantage of that. So I think we have to be a little bit careful about that. Let's assume the very worst, but let's be prepared for the spit to hit the fan.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
I definitely agree as well, and also to really look at it, and it's I was jocularly talking with one of our guests the other day about this, where it seems like we're about to get an 80s revamp. Which is terrifying, where the cocaine is going to be amazing and everything's going to be fantastic. And it's me. And we're going to outsell this person and blah, blah, blah. But everyone in that reality dies of a heart attack. Like, let's be real. That's not a good life.
Take it from us. The 80s was terrible the first time around, guys.
And it wasn't just the fashion.
No, and
we got great music from the 80s though, so we're probably gonna get a lot of great music within these dark times.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Aimee. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I was making a flippant joke about all the cocaine being cut with fentanyl now.
Yes. The sad part is that joke is a reality. That's
it is a reality. That is the truth. And that's. I mean, I could go on for hours.
No, I understand. In
the past, we've talked about some tough subjects like reparations and all these things. I'm probably what most folks would call a radical thinker. But if you think that it's radical to treat every human being that we share this planet with as an equal, to offer education and healthcare and feed children, then yes, I am absolutely a radical, the biggest leftist radical in the world. There is nothing in the world that will convince me otherwise that taking care of people is wrong.
Right. Yeah.
I feel we're going to get a lot from the rest of the world looking at us. I feel the rest of the world is going to be reporting what is being done to us, and I think we're going to see a big international wave when it comes to supporting the needs of the United States. I think we're going to see that in the foreseeable future. But as far as just to piggyback just a little bit on my thoughts and my perception of just what I've seen, and once again, I'm just remind people I'm not a political analyst at all. I'm just speaking through my mind. I think the whole executive order with a man and a woman is going to be non-existent. There's no way you can eliminate or say something is non-existent when it comes to pronouns. You cannot say that at all. As far as eliminating the
is pre-existing in the English language. It makes no sense. I mean,
he's never going to eliminate that. You can put as many laws.
Like a fine every time someone says they. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. And as far as like eliminating history just from schools and like documented history, just overall when it comes to Black history and other stuff, regarding minorities, that's gonna be non-existent. You're always gonna get that history somewhere or other. Even if you take it away from a library, someone is going to tell someone the true history of what happened. That's never gonna end. That's always going to be recorded, no matter what you do, no matter what you say. You cannot.
That's why they don't like us talking to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's why they want to control the social media accounts. Go ahead. Yeah.
Have you read anything about the Red Note thing? Have you had any?
I didn't get a chance to read about it fully. I did hear about it. You can break it down for me.
I think it's great. I go for it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But what was well, a couple of things. One is for the Chinese communicating with Americans, they're like, oh my God, you have to pay taxes on your house? What? Why?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't? I mean, they're literally like these lovely Chinese folks being like, oh my gosh, you guys don't have health care. You can come stay with us and like fly to China and have your operation. I mean, these people it was an unbelievable moment of these two cultures coming together, which have been for so many years, told things about one another. Everybody thinks, all the Chinese are these horrible communist people. The Americans are all horrible, imperialist pigs, all these things. But what happened was that a bunch of human beings started talking and realized that they've been told bullshit. I'm sorry, BS about, what the other one does all day long, or what, he's sitting around hating on us all. Nobody. That's not what they do. Likewise, we're not sitting here hating on China all day either. You know what I'm saying? That's happened. And for me, Gen X, going to high school at the time when the Berlin Wall came down in '89, it almost felt like that a little bit. A real like East meets West moment, and kind of and Chinese folks just finding out about each other. It has been, I think, a pretty remarkable thing. And I think it has really, I think, changed a lot of people. I think it's made a really big impact on them. I mean, I guess young people, when they're learning English in school, they have a person that they write as. They're asked to write to their American pen pal or their British pen pal, Australian pen pal, whomever. And I believe, oh God, Liwan? I think it's Liwan. I may be incorrect, but they sign it as Liwan, this young person who is writing. And so all these years, these folks were writing these letters in school to imaginary pals. And
right.
what kind of coming back is that, these Chinese people felt like their letters were being answered.
Right.
It's just so sweet and remarkable. And so Americans started picking up on that. And when they would communicate with the Chinese, they would say, oh, hi, this is your American pen pal, and they have this real like exchange, this real cultural and emotional exchange with one another. And it was magnificent. And, you see that happen and experience that and see people go through that. And you can't help but, sort of feel like, yeah, no, of course they don't want to talk to us, because if we talk to each other, then we're going to figure out that we're exactly.
Well, it's so interesting because I know your love for Henry Rollins, and that just reminds me of that's how Henry Rollins wants to create peace all over. I think he actually focused it in the Middle East. He was just going to drop off record players and just certain Ramones records to certain parts. So people could be like walking through the desert and they can hear something like, well, that sounds like the Ramones, but it can't be the Ramones because I have everything that the Ramones have ever done. And then walk over to this other person and be like, hey, what is that? Oh, that's the Ramones. What do you mean that's the Ramones? See, this is a Ramones record. And you can all talk about it and build love for the Ramones. And for that, you can bring peace. That's how the Ramones can bring peace to the world.
Yes.
And I totally butchered that that skit, but it was really, really well written.
You got to
Henry Rollins.
You got to the heart of it.
Yeah. So
You did get to the point on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. Aimee is with us on the show. I'm excited to have Aimee on the show. This has been great. I hope to have Aimee more on this program. We've been just talking about our thoughts about politics and what's going to be happening within these next 4 years because we're very concerned. We're very concerned individuals. Aimee.
And just so folks know, I am
Absolutely.
a political analyst, but what I am is an expert in political violence, violence, conflict, and development. And I'm an expert on the Middle East and Northern Ireland. So I'm familiar with the ways and means of political violence and the difference between invasion and occupation.
right.
So just to clarify for all of my haters out there, you're right. I am not a political scientist, and I still have a right to an opinion because I vote and I live in this country. So whether you're an actor or an ice cream scooper or whatever it is that you do, you're entitled to a political opinion in this country. And you should have one because life is political. Every step of our lives is political.
That's true.
It's already been politicized. By its very nature, it is political, this system, because we do not offer equal access to all of our citizenry. So by default, that's just where we are.
What do you think will happen within this term? Definite things. Because there's a lot, because Trump has promised things within his last term that weren't kept at all.
Yeah, word.
Well, I think that a lot of what's going on right now is just building on all the faux outrage of the conservative party. Just this whole legislation of what they consider morality. Our personal lives, our reproductive lives, who we love, how we love, etc. And because it is political, of course, every time it breathes, it is a political. I think a lot of what's happening is manufacturing a lot more outrage and kind of a little bit of shock and awe on the side, so that they can deregulate.
Right.
Every political institution, every governmental institution that we have for their. I don't believe that there is some cabal of people who want to take over the world. I just believe that there are a bunch of greedy people who don't have a lot of ability for self-introspection and never know when enough is enough.
Right.
Someday, Elon Musk to have to understand that no matter how many billions he has, his father is still not going to love him. Just like Don Jr. is going to have to come to that. Daddy's never going to approve. These guys are going to have to find something. Nothing's going to fill that void except doing the hard work, fellas. And that's it. But when we have a situation like this, where we've got a lot of people just kind of throwing a lot of money into one political corner, it generally is for purposes of business. So the entire natural resources community just waiting. They're all hanging on tenterhooks here, just waiting for the Department of the Interior to open up every single one of our national parks to drilling, fracking, whatever other exploration they can. So we're going to see. I think we're going to see very possibly, I really hope this doesn't happen, but I think that there might be some dispossession of land because there are some of our indigenous cousins live in very resource-rich areas.
Right.
With this administration.
Right.
I am also very concerned about elderly, because Medicaid's always the first thing on the block. I mean, our kids
Sure.
already read, is half the issue we're having in America, is that most people are on about a 4th grade reading level. And you know what? If you don't have the reading comprehension above a 10 or 12-year-old, then a lot of this is going to be really above you and beyond you. And that's a fact. That's not saying that people are stupid. It's saying that they haven't been educated properly. And that is a fact. And that is a failing of our school system, our public school system. Unfortunately, for the conservative Republicans, we can tie that to them as well. I mean, they've been trying pretty focused effort since 1980 to decrease funding for education every single time they're in the White House. You notice that? Every time.
Yeah.
But we do have money for endless war. We have money apparently to ban TikTok, but not to ban assault weapons.
There was just a shooting this week. Crazy.
We have the capacity to bully every other nation in the world with our warheads, but we don't have the capacity to keep our children safe at school. There's something wrong with this equation. A lot of it is hubris.
And what else is wrong is I have to end this program. But I just want to give this last time for you, Aimee. It's up to you, because we always like to have people, give their Instagram tags, whatever they'd like to reach out to them and, stuff of that nature. But, it's up to you. But just end this portion of the show just with some positive words you can give to people who are not in a good place at this time mentally.
Whether you are aware of it or not, there are a whole bunch of people who are out there holding space for you and who are dedicated to supporting you in every way that we can. As foreign as that may feel, please know that it is the case. And if you are having any kind of thoughts about self-harm, please reach out. If you are feeling really depressed or really in a dark or bad place, really reach out to someone who you can talk to, and understand that as bad as it feels right now, it's not going to feel this way forever. Beyond that, I think that it's really important that we take joy in our daily lives. We take joy in our partners, in our friends, in our children, in all of our little triumphs. Every day that passes that you don't have to have a conversation about somebody being bigoted is a good one. And remember that, every generation has been called upon to do hard things. This is our really hard thing. We do fortunately have an incredible gang of young people out there who are spitting mad, and they should be, and I'm here for it. And they're going out there and doing the thing. So remember that, support them, do what you can do, protect peace. And, at the end of the day, just know that it will be better.
Most definitely. Aimee, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
No doubt. This will be on sooner than later. We really love having these conversations with you, and future conversations with Aimee will be on the program. Stay connected. Stay tuned. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and the one and only Long Island Rays, Elm City made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.